From the Detroit Free Press, in the heart of the Motor City, it's Wednesday, November 13th. Here are today's top stories, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Bush's has over 4,000 Michigan products, including the freshest fruit and vegetables, meat, seafood, and baked goods. Stop by one of Bush's 16 locations for the personal service you expect from your neighborhood grocer.
This is Kat Stafford reporting for the Detroit Free Press. A Detroit City Council vote to consider a $250 million blight bond proposed by Mayor Mike Duggan took a contentious turn Tuesday. The City Council decided to postpone its vote for a third time after several concerns were raised about the handling of the city's demolition program. The concerns were raised in light of a blistering Detroit Auditor General report that recently concluded the program has been mismanaged. Detroit City Council President Brenda Jones grilled the administration on its lack of responsiveness to the Auditor General. The office was forced to issue 2 subpoenas for information, which Jones said is simply unacceptable. The city has already spent a staggering $532 million to remove blight since 2014. If given the green light by voters in March 2020, the city could spend an additional $500 million. Council is expected to reconsider the measure for a 4th time next Tuesday.
This is J.C. Reindl for the Detroit Free Press. About 300 people took part in a Tuesday demonstration outside of Detroit McDonald's. The demonstrators demanded $15 per hour wages and a smoother path to unionization. The demonstration was organized by the SEIU Union, which has done similar rallies across the country. Most demonstrators were not McDonald's workers, but a few were, including the manager at the McDonald's where the crowd had gathered. The manager makes $11 an hour and would like to join a union. But one big hurdle is most McDonald's restaurants are franchise locations, which means they must be organized one by one.
This is Phoebe Wall-Howard for the Detroit Free Press Autos team. UAW retirees are really unhappy about not getting any extra checks in the new contracts with the Detroit 3. The UAW says the bonuses are optional for the automakers and can't be negotiated for non-current employees. In 2015, GM gave a one-time $500 bonus to retirees, and Ford gave $250 bonuses each year for 4 years and $125 each year to widows and widowers of retirees. Fiat Chrysler did not give bonuses in 2015 and isn't expected to change policy in 2019. The Ford workers' ratification vote ends Friday, with FCA talks starting after that.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Gray, and I cover national and state elections for the Detroit Free Press. Michigan elections change forever this year. Absentee voting is taking off big time now that any Michigan voter can choose that option. Absentee voting was typically about 20 to 30% of the total vote before 2019, but that number grew to half or more in many communities this year. And that means a bigger workload for local clerks who are planning for even bigger voter turnouts in the 2020 presidential elections. Michigan law prevents local clerks from processing or counting absentee ballots before Election Day. Many clerks and Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson hope lawmakers change that. Currently, 30 other states allow election officials to process and, in some cases, count absentee ballots before Election Day.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kristen Shamus. A 17-year-old boy is recovering from a double lung transplant at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. He is believed to be the first person in the United States with a vaping-related lung injury to undergo double lung transplant. The boy, whose identity is being kept private, is a student athlete who loves sailing and playing video games with friends. He was first hospitalized September 5th with pneumonia-like symptoms and eventually transferred to Henry Ford. Without the October 15th transplant, doctors say the teen would have died. Since March, 39 people have died of e-cigarette or vaping-associated lung injuries in the United States, including one person in Michigan. Vaping has sickened more than 2,000 people nationwide, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. All reported a history of using e-cigarettes or vape products, many of which contained THC. This boy's family says they're grateful for the second chance that a transplant has given him, and they hope that by sharing his story, others will quit vaping. To learn more, go to freep.com.
This is Free Press Sports Editor Chris Thomas. We're in a state of rivalry this week as Michigan State gets set to travel to Michigan for their annual showdown. This is the time of year when Mark D'Antonio usually shines. When he reminds the college football world that the status quo means nothing in this rivalry, and it's the time and place, for instance this year at Michigan Stadium, that he usually beats the Wolverines. But this isn't any year. D'Antonio's Spartans are reeling, having lost 4 straight games, including Saturday's stunning loss against Illinois. So he hears the calls for his job. He knows the state of the program bothers fans, and he wants you to know that he agonizes with you. Today on Freep.com, read how the game that has defined Mark D'Antonio's legacy at Michigan State just might save his season.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out Freep.com. That's FREEP.com. And sign up for the daily briefing newsletter. See you tomorrow.